There we go, McConaughey style. Hey, that wasn't bad for a guy just standing out with an electric, man. I mean, it was like, it's hard to do, man. I'm going to tell you, the master of the guy that can get out there with an electric and just vibe is John Mayer, dude. The mind, will, and emotions of a person. Do you know that you have a soul?
Welcome to Backroads Truth, the podcast where faith meets melody. Hosted by ICMA Artist of the Year, singer-songwriter, Justin Todd Herod.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. In Jesus' mighty name.
Praise God.
They even let rednecks like me get on TV, so I appreciate the Lord for that, man.
I think this song will kind of talk about one of the things that impacted my life, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's called Soul Man. Once I'm done, we're going to kind of explore what it means. But here's a song. It's on my blue. I got good news. Yeah, he's your soul man. Wow, that required a sip or two of coffee. If you notice, when I put my guitar down, I kind of like exhaled, this sigh of relief. It's kind of intense, man, playing the electric guitar without a band, without anybody behind you, drums, bass, horns, keys, steel guitar, whatever. But I just want to kind of take you into a little bit of another dimension of what we get to do musically. And let me just preface it by saying, this is all done pretty much just one take. Here we go, boom, 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 with, just bare bones gear. So there was some of my guitar player friends out there, give me some grace, man. Give me a little bit of grace. You know what it's like to step out with an electric guitar. You're trying to dampen strings. You're trying to make sure strings aren't ringing. You're trying to play notes up the neck, and you're not really relying on like just a box closed in place. But anyways, all of that aside, I really enjoyed playing it. I was just trying to keep it simple and let the lyrics come forth in this song that is the title cut of my one and only blues album. And I do have a blues record out there, and the title is Soul Man. And you're probably thinking, when you think Soul Man, like he's just Soul Man. Yeah, your Soul Man. And that's kind of where we go when we think soul. Matter of fact, I'll take it one step deeper. If my mama down in Elkhart, Texas, were to go out there and say, okay, I'm going to put out some meatloaf, some black-eyed peas, some cornbread in the pan, and fried salmon patties. I know nobody likes those, but I love them. Then I'm going to make you a banana pudding. I'm going to say that woman just made some soul food. Why? Because you feel it, man. It makes you feel good. It touches your heart. And matter of fact, if you think about soul music or Soul Train back in the day, it's because when we're talking about the soul, we're really talking about your emotions, your heart, the psyche of a man. Matter of fact, the word that is used in the New Testament, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's the word suke. And it simply means the psyche or the mind, will, and emotions of a person. Do you know that you have a soul? And sometimes we even see the word soul and heart being kind of interchangeable, My heart got broke, but in some ways you're kind of saying my soul got broke, because things in your soul are connected to your emotions, your mind, your personality, etc. And that's what we are. We're three-part: body, soul, and spirit. So you're probably asking by now, okay, JT, get to the point. Why did you write this song, or how did it arrive? Well, I'm going to tell you how, and it's really not a pretty story. I went through a very, very brutal, a very, very difficult and painful divorce. And I didn't want it to happen. It just did. I begged for it not to happen, and it just did anyway. Was I to blame? Everybody's always to blame in some things, but it wasn't my choice. But during that time, I'll never forget the pain, the hurt, the loneliness, just the confusion and even anger, all kind of things that raged through my soul. And my soul was hurt. It was wounded. It was crushed. And I'll never forget one day asking this ridiculous question. And it's going to sound non-ridiculous when I say it, but I was kind of just talking out loud as if I was talking to God. And I said, I wish somebody just knew how I felt. And so all of a sudden, like I just stopped in that thought and I said, well, somebody does know how you feel. That's why we called it Soul Man. If you notice, it says he's been there before, and you know he understands. He's been there before. Why? Because we understand that when we look at the Jesus of the Bible, he's been there and he's been through all of these things. Abandonment. He's been through abuse. He's been through being lied about. He's been through being betrayed. He's even been through the most brutal physical punishments you could ever imagine. So he understands. He never did sin. He didn't react to it the way we would, but he's been there through that. Let me continue. As I'm writing this song, I'm starting to kind of come up with this idea that says, you know what? You need someone that knows your pain. Do you need someone that understands? Do you need someone that can really, know who you are? And then the first question that hits my mind, guys, is this. Man, if I really start kind of really being honest about how I feel, God's going to go like, phew, that's nasty. But what we find out about that is that even when you're at your funkiest, even when you're at your worst, he still says he understands and he loves you. He still says that he understands and he loves you. I'm going to throw this one in quick, and I'm going to throw it in real quicker than I normally do, but Hebrews chapter 4, and we see, I think it's verse 14 through 16. Don't check me out, but I think that's right. It's like we have a high priest who has now already done everything necessary to bring this wonderful thing of forgiveness to you and to justify you and to free you from shame through what he's done. But it also says we have one that is able to sympathize. In other words, when you think about like your local preacher or say like a priest or whomever, think, man, I wish they really understood and they can pray for you, they can help you, they can talk to you, but they really may not have been where you've been. They really may not have ever been through that kind of pain. But this is someone now who knows everything about you, the soul, your mind, your will, your emotions, all these things, and yet he's been through it, so therefore he can really relate and understand in a way that it's not funky or it's not like, oh, that's too nasty. Listen, let's be honest. Please, I want you to really be honest and me be honest. Life is nasty and funky. Sometimes people have divorces. People have addictions. People go through all kind of pains and hurts. People get depression. People are dealing right now, maybe as you're just listening to me saying, man, you don't understand what I'm going through. Well, I may not. And I'm just a man. I don't understand it. But I can tell you somebody who does. It's this one we refer to, or at least I did in this song, called the Soul Man, because he knows everything about your soul. And notice in this song, it goes on to say that, even that you're feeling like a number and not a name, you're feeling kind of lost in the crowd, you're feeling like maybe nobody understands. This now is somebody you can go to and say, man, this is what's going on. And I wonder if he's going to listen. Yes, he's going to listen. But here's what we have to do. We have to understand that we are human beings in this crazy world where there's lots of pain, there's lots of hurt, there's lots of things that happen that are just terrible, and the tragedies of this life will cause us sometimes to want to run away. And you know what? That's shame. That's guilt. That's things that we bring on ourselves because we think, man, I've messed up so bad, I just want to run and hide. I don't want to confront it. I don't want to talk about it. And when you do, here's what sometimes happens. Is this ever happened to you? Please think about it this way. You went to somebody and said, man, I'm going through an addiction. I'm going through a pain. I'm going through a hurt. I've had a divorce. And all of a sudden they say, well, if you were just a better person, that wouldn't have happened to you. Or you know what? You brought it on yourself. Or matter of fact, you're just not a good person and you need to work it out somehow and all of a sudden you start saying, man, it's no use to talk to somebody because they don't understand. Sometimes the reason they don't is because they're just flat out being religious or being the way that we would call self-righteous. But sometimes they don't understand and they're trying, but they've never been there. They've never been to that place where they can connect to you on that emotional level. Now listen, I'm not going to spend the majority of the time on this podcast talking just about the emotions or the intellect. I want to talk about something deeper. That's the spirit. That's the part of you that wants to connect with this soul man. That's the part of you that should now be alerted to connecting to this soul man. And I don't want to keep just using the word over and over again, but this soul man we're speaking about is Jesus Christ. He's that person who the Bible makes it clear. He was beaten, bruised, bloodied, talked about, slandered, stripped naked, humiliated. And he did that all and went through all those things. And it says going back to that Hebrews verse, that even though he did all these things and he could sympathize, he never sinned. He was tested and tried in all these ways. And then that last verse, I think it's verse 16, it says, so therefore now we can approach his throne with boldness, not arrogance, not cockiness, not, just brazenness, but with boldness, knowing that when we show up, he's not going to ridicule. He's not going to knock you down. He's not going to say, you know what, well, you brought it on yourself. You deserve it. My gosh, your life is funky. No, he's going to say, I understand. And I can take these precious questions, these precious prayers, these precious things to my Father and begin to intercede for you. Now, I'm doing some theology today, but I'm trying to keep it simple, and I'm going to by wrapping things up this way. If I were to take this song and sing it out there in a blues place where I play normally, or play it out there at a biker event, or maybe play it somewhere at like a secular venue or which I do from time to time, I would probably start the song off by saying some of the same things I'm doing to you. But in the midst of it, I'm playing a lot of guitar, I'm rearing back, and I'm just, letting those strings sustain and ring, and I'm feeling it. I've got the pedals down there where everything's working and sounding good. But the whole time, you know what's going on in my mind? I'm going back to that very time where I remember sitting there and saying, I wish somebody could understand the pain that I feel. I wish somebody could relate to the problems that I'm dealing with in this divorce, and this loneliness, and this frustration. And you know what? It was that one day when I finally realized, he does understand. And I humbled myself, and I said, God, I want to tell you, I'm hurting. I'm going through pain here, and I'm asking you to help me. He's been there before, and he understands the way that you feel like no one else can. He's your soul man. And that is what this song, I hope today, will mean to you and will help you. Let me just tell you, not only does he know you, but he loves you. God loves you. And he made a way that, even in our times where we feel bitter, angry, hostile, and we may even shout and say, I don't understand. I always tell folks, God's a big boy. He can handle it. It's not good to get in the habit of just yelling at God, but I'm saying I've had times where I've like, man, I don't understand this. This sucks. And at the end, I found someone in Jesus who was patient, who was loving, who was kind, who was compassionate, who was merciful, who was willing to let me pour my heart out to him. Is that where you're at today? Are you there today? If you are, let me tell you also, I love you. Don't know you, but I love you. And I can relate to that. And I can tell you, when I wrote that song and put it on that blues album, each and every time I play it, I go back with gratitude and thanksgiving in my heart that I was able to have someone who's my soul man. Do you have that today? Do you have that soul man in your life? If you don't, here's how you can. You can just simply say, Lord, I believe you. I believe you died for me. I believe that you gave your life on the cross, and I trust you. You know what will happen? You can approach him with boldness and with security and confidence, knowing that he's listening to you right now. And I hope you'll do that. Hey, this song is found on an album called Soul Man with, I think, 12 or 13 other songs that are me playing blues guitar, and I really love this record. A lot of pain, a lot of stuff came out like splat, splat, splat on this album, but some of the greatest songs I think I've ever written from my heart are on it. And you know what? If you want to check it out, you can go to Spotify. You can go to any other digital platforms and you can listen, and maybe you might want to listen to some other stuff. Hey, I appreciate you. And you know what? Until next time, it's JTH here saying we'll see you down the back roads. Bye-bye. And if they're going twang, 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 they're like, yeah, anybody can do that. So I'm trying to make it where it's interesting, melodically, so I was trying to survive, man. That's a lot of that line 6 helix right there that's making that sound that way, man. Do you want me to turn this off while we're talking just to be on the safe side? Hold on.